Let's get our minds together for the idea of radiate, yeah? And the idea of radiate is basically to let your body feel consistently sort of energized. I know, forgive the word energy, please. I do not like to talk too woo-woo when it comes to physical action. So I don't mean this in terms of breath work or feeling caffeinated or excited. I mean energized in terms of like actively using your muscles in a soft but continuously reaching manner is what radiate is referring to. So one of the ways that I like to talk about this is let's first press our hands together, just like squeeze them together. It's okay if you fold your fingers, but I want you to smash your hands together for a few moments. And what you're doing right now is actually centering, right? Because we're pushing into that center line. But I just want you to feel your muscles start to fire up and then release them. You can feel your muscles have moved a little bit. There might be like a squishy, warm feeling in your hands or maybe even your arms or pectoral muscles. And then let's see if you can just send your hands out and like let them be a little bit limp and like if you're trying to be like a dead fish, like dead fish feeling, yeah, dead fish. Blah. If there's somebody else in your living room, I hope they are chuckling at you because you should look like a very tired zombie. Yeah. So instead of being a very tired zombie, another action is to feel this feeling of expanding in both directions. So go ahead and reach your fingertips as far as you can. In dance, especially in Horton dance technique, we talk about this theory of radiate with the word attenuate, which means to draw something longer in separate directions, and when you attenuate something, it gets skinnier in the center. So if you think about like pulling a gob of taffy or caramel that's in one big smush, and then as you pull it out, it gets thinner. And that action, if you think about extending in opposite directions, is radiating your arms out from the center. And it also really helps with balance, yeah? And you can radiate anywhere, but usually we think of it being from the opposite ends of your body or from the center of your body and out the edge. So you can slouch down for a moment, let yourself have a nice chin poke, and then put your hand on top of the crown of your head, which is not where your bangs are, and press yourself taller into your hand. And that would be radiating up through the spine. Just as we press together here, you can press as though you're trying to reach or smush the wall across the room. And notice how it really engages, yes, all of the muscles in your body. It makes you feel longer. The thing we don't want to do, that's similar but different, is to squeeze into a stiff and stuck feeling. So if you can just imagine like you have the feeling in your mind of like a really angry child and you're like, that really stiff feeling where you're just gripping all your muscles and trying to be big but stiff, you'll notice that you don't have any balance. Because balance, a lot of balance has to do with like the trading of the energy of shifting back and forth, not gripping. So radiate should not feel like gripping, but it should feel like sort of a constant stretching. Maybe this is another one to try at home is take your hands up and out and reach your right arm longer and then your left arm longer and reach, and you're trying to sort of open up the back on either side of your shoulder blades, between your shoulder blades and the spine. There should be a nice little stretch in your rhomboids if you do this. And that's really a good example of radiating. Yeah? Okay. So, radiate, we're okay on, hopefully. Yes, no, maybe. Feel free while I'm talking a lot to use your thumbs up, thumbs down so that I don't repeat myself too many times. And the other thing we're going to talk today about is shoulder alignment. So almost everybody in the universe has experienced that feeling where your trapezius muscles, yeah, these guys on top here, feel like they're knotted up and you're stressed out and it sucks. Yes? That's like a thing we do in the human world. So what we want to do to relax these upper trapezius muscles is to allow them to stop doing all the work of holding the weight of your arms. And why would they do that? Well, because we slouch a lot, yeah, especially if we're stressed out in typing or playing Skyrim. Your shoulders tend to roll forward when we slouch, and that puts the weight of the arms no longer on your spine and torso, but it's your upper back that's doing all this work. Also, your head is pretty stinking heavy, yeah? And when we slouch, the weight of our head is forward. And so holding that up puts often this arc in the neck, which is also weighing on the trapezius. And we do this thing that's called chin poking, right? Because if you're standing up tall, you want to look straight forward on the horizon. And if we're slouching, we might just look at the floor, but we're usually looking up at something. And there you go, with this hyper curved neck, pinched at the top. Just go ahead while I'm talking, take your hands underneath the base of your skull, right where your neck comes into it, and nod your head and feel what happens when your chin comes out, and feel how it pinches then those fingers back there. Yeah? And then go ahead and take your head, like slouch it forward, and you can feel how it's even more extreme. Take your head on your chin, or your fingers on your chin, and push your chin back. Yeah? And feel how when you take away that chin poke by drawing your chin in, it helps to lengthen through the neck. And this is where I do a very silly impersonation of a pigeon. Here you go. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, chin poking is what we want to also work on. So if we can get the weight of the head over the neck is going to relax. If we can get the weight of the arms back, then the shoulders can relax. There's still usually a ton of tightness in your pectoral muscles and where they wrap around under here in serratus, because we're so used to the front of the chest being collapsed that we need to open the chest and learn to engage the rhomboids, which hold your shoulder blade to your spine. So go ahead and reach forward like a vigorous zombie and slouch your chest, collapse your chest. And then I want you to pull your shoulder blades down and back together so that you're pulling your shoulder blades. If you don't know where they are, reach around and feel that bone. It's a big triangle right here. Yeah, feel your shoulder blades pull together towards your spine, and this will press your chest out and forward. So feel that feeling, please, with me. So arms forward, and you're pressing your chest forward and back, and you're pulling your shoulder blades around from being out here on the side. You're anchoring them back to the spine. Yeah, so while you just do that a bunch of times, in fact, if you're having shoulder problems, I bet you this is going to be your PT exercise, is to press your rib cage forward. Yeah, while you're doing this, also, let me just describe the triangle. I really think it helps to visualize this triangle. So if you walk your fingers across your collarbones, yeah, your collarbones and the top edge of your shoulder blades, which I highlighted with tattoo when I was in college, so that's handy. You can see where that is. Make basically this diamond shape, yeah? And if you're looking at me from above, then this diamond shape is right there. And what we want is for your diamond collarbone girdle, it's called a shoulder girdle, if you want it to sit right on top of the rib cage, yeah? And when we're slouching, that diamond has slid forward, right? So here's my rib cage, and my diamond is slid forward. So what we want is to anchor the shoulder blades back so that the diamond of the shoulder girdle sits on top of the structure of your rib cage. And then you don't have to do all that work to support all the weight of your arms and your head. We're getting everything right on top. Okay, I know that was a lot to take in, but now I can reference things like the shoulder girdle, pulling your shoulder blades back, using your rhomboids, opening your heart, check your chin poke, and I can reference those terminologies throughout our movement today. That said, let's move. Okay, we're going to start seated, but we'll get up and move around quite quickly. Are we okay on volume? You guys can hear my voice? Yes? No? Yes? Okay, great. All right. So let's start seated just for a moment because we want to give ourselves time to let all that thinkiness, rushing thoughts settle out. We're going to place our hands on our palms, up on our knees. Think about your shoulder girdle sitting right on top of your rib cage and your rib cage being open to the front. So I am, even in this easy pose, think thinking about gently drawing my shoulder blades together and back. And that helps my torso find the easy upright alignment that allows for big, deep breath. Let that breath come in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. And on your next breath, let your arms come up. And exhale down your center. Next exhale is going to take you down to the front. Go ahead and roll, dropping your heads, dropping your shoulders, opening up the back. Big deep breaths here. Let the back of your neck lengthen. Sometimes it helps to imagine water running up your neck over the back of your head and just letting that release. And we're gonna roll back up, lower back, middle back, shoulders go back, lifting your head. Reaching to your right. Squeeze your shoulders up and down. Squeeze your shoulders up and down. Squeeze your shoulders up and anchor those shoulders down. And we're going to circle the arm today. Deep breath in. Exhale, keep the arm behind you like you're wiping your hand on the wall behind you. As you reach down towards the opposite hip, you're going to let your neck drop away from that shoulder. Big breath in. All right, let's connect all those points. Exhale, opening up the armpit. Hand wipes down the wall. Inhale, rising up. And up. Other side. Lift your shoulders up and drop them. And lift them up and drop them. Lift them up and drop them. And then circling the arm with the breath. We inhale as the arm goes up, so inhaling from here. And exhale as it opens back behind you. Go ahead and keep circling 2 more times. I'm just going to check the chat. Back up center. Drop those shoulders down, open your chest. And now we're going to use that idea of probably chin poking here to look up high. I'd like you to draw your chin back and lengthen the neck as we demonstrated here. lengthening the back of the neck. Instead of trying to reach your chin up, think about trying to reach your forehead up. Let your arms drift down behind you and press your rib cage up to the sky. Resist the urge to chin pose. And think about if you can spread the ribs. Spread the ribs. Now take a big breath and let your shoulders rise up to support your neck and relax the weight of your head onto your shoulders. And I'm going to sway my rib cage like 3 inches to the left or the right and let my neck be massaged by my shoulder blades. 2 more big breaths here. As you exhale, draw your belly button to your spine. We're going to tuck our chin to our chest first, so we have a long neck as we lift up. Exhale. Switch your feet. Coming on up. Floating down. All right, halfway out. You're on the diagonal with me, yeah? Let your shoulders rise up to your earlobes and squeeze them back. Shoulders up to your earlobes like you're shrugging, squeeze them back. You're working your upper back right now. And shoulders back. You should feel like you have a nice long neck, and we're going to lean out a little bit further. Keeping all your hips and thighs pressing into the ground, radiating through those fingertips. So really reach. Often when I radiate here, I can feel stretches between my finger joints even. Can you feel that too? Big breath in, and release it down to the mat. Let your spine drop. Big breath. Through your spine to rise up. We're going to exhale to your left. Let those shoulders drop down, your hands to the floor, and assist yourself in the twist. Can you lead with your chin and nose all the way around to the back of the room without poking your chin? So we want to draw that chin in, draw your shoulders down. And that might mean that your right shoulder doesn't come around as much. That's fine. We want to twist through the spine, not reach through the arm. One more breath. Okay, we're going to release the arms on the inhale, but try and use our core to stay in the twist. Drawing your belly to your spine, using your obliques and your latissimus dorsi, that's the big side of your back muscle. Healthy twist. One more breath. Inhaling up. Shoulders down, all the way down to the floor with the arms, twisting to the other side. Can you release your thighs and your hip sockets and just let gravity hold you to the ground? And I'm definitely pushing with my left hand to help get more of a spiral. But then once I do that, I'm trying not to hold myself in with the legs. I'm trying to let my legs release. Shoulders down. Big breath. And big breath in. Open that chest skyward. All right, we're going to take our hands forward. And we're going to squeeze our fingers and curve our chest forward while we're pulling our abdomen back. We're going to sit up, open our hands wide, and now the opposite feeling. Our chest is coming up, arms are opening. Bring your elbows down into your sides. See if you can really get an arch in the upper back, yeah? My temptation is usually to lean too far forward Can you bring the spine back over the pelvis? You really feel those sit bones into the ground. And we're trying to tip our shoulders and rib cage back behind. This will fire up your hip flexors, yeah? So if you feel like you're really gripping here, just jiggle the legs a little bit. See if you can find some softness. I'm taking those arms up. If I were a letter Y, my arms would be one part of the Y and my head the other part of the Y. And this is the vertical part of the Y, yeah? Capital letter Y there. Maybe try switching your arms here. It's an interesting feeling. How about our breath? Good. Arms down behind your hips, elbows rolled back, pressing your chest forward, right away to release the neck. And we're gonna walk our hands back. Now I'd like you to resist the urge to place your hands with your fingertips facing backwards, and instead to start the habit of your fingertips facing your hips. Yeah? Bending your elbows. Notice how your elbows want to go out to the sides. Can you pinch your shoulder blades together and start to wrap your elbows towards your center line behind you? And then again, lifting up through the heart. Don't be afraid to walk your hands around here. Bending, softening the elbows, squeezing the elbows together, wrapping them together. And radiating the chest upwards. To come up from any big opener, front of the neck opener here, we want to begin by tucking the chin straight to the chest. So make 16 billion chins. Yeah, and then lift the rest of your body up. Find your way to a squat. Feet nice and close together so your heels are under your sits bones. Rocking back and forth, we're waking up the feet. Finding your breath.
He said it's too much in power.
Good, heels back. And gently, slowly extend into your forward fold. Drop that head. Softly making figure eights with the top of your skull. Figure eights with the top of your skull. And remember, anytime we're in a forward fold, you do not have to have perfectly straight legs. Because we want to feel the forward fold in the back of the thighs, but not in the back of the knees. Alright, big breath in. Exhale, dropping your pelvis down. Bending those legs, keeping the legs behind the knees. Pressing into the earth to come back to standing. Rising up. Bringing your hands to namaste. Shoulders dropped back. We're going to move through our sun salutations. Big breath in. Open the chest. Inhaling up. Exhale, forward fold. Let your arms sweep back. Inhale, up through flat back. Pause right here and check where those shoulder blades are. Yeah? So can we, instead of curving the chest here, can you radiate through the spine? So like someone's grabbing the top of your head and moving it forward. And your shoulder blades are being pulled slightly together. And your abdominal wall is lifting. Reaching, attenuating from the top of your spine and your tailbone in two different directions. Soften those knees, coming down. And you're going to step back with your left foot to your high lunge. Go ahead and check by looking underneath yourself that both legs are parallel. Your hips are square. And we're going to press into the earth to rise up. Tie a little knot. Big breath in. Drop your shoulders and arms back. And we're going to stay in our high lunge. and roll those shoulders with our breath. So we'll go shoulders up, exhale back. Really press the chest forward. Shoulders forward, up, forward, back. Forward and up, back and down. Forward and up and back and down. Now reach arms up. Let your head and chest rise up and open. And I'm imagining that my arms are sort of parallel and maybe slightly pressing against an oversized basketball. And let's lengthen our tailbones and back legs. Let's lengthen and radiate through the front knee to the front of the room. Imagine your back heel and front knee going further apart without losing the square of your pelvis. Big breath in. Open your arms behind you. Go ahead and take your hands down to the earth. Take your knee to the floor. Now you're in low lunge. Big breath here. Now in low lunge from where I was, this has taken my knee forward over my over my toes, yeah? So when I notice this, I'm gonna scooch my back leg back to adjust because we wanna keep the knee over the ankle always in lunges. That way we're not putting undue pressure on the knee, which is probably fine in the moment, but over time it's not so great. All right, we're gonna step back. So I'm gonna straighten my back leg again. You can take as many steps as you need to move that left leg back. Rotate so you can see some more. We're all gonna come down to our modified plank. And my hip flexors are tight today, so before we move on, let's curve the body open a few times. I'm coming up to sit on my pointed feet. Using your hip flexors here, the front of your hip socket. Let's just rock the hips forward and back. We're gonna add to this in a moment. I'm gonna rock back, so I'm trying to get my belly pubis, yeah? I'm gonna hold on to that and my quads to rise pelvic position. Whoosh. And then I'm going to tip my pelvis forward, so booty up and back. Let it come down. Seated on my feet, and I'm gonna rock the pelvis back again. I'm gonna keep that back position like you could lay a little bacon strip on your hips and rise and then back. Yeah, there's our little flow circle. Let's add the upper body. Big breath in. Pass through child's pose. Roll it up. Okay. Coming back this time to your modified plank. Go ahead before you go down and place your arms straight out in front of your shoulders. Push that chest, push that chest, push that chest. Take your hands down. Let's go to all fours. That means my thighs are vertical. And we're going to do what I call shoulder push-ups. Pointer fingers are forward, elbows bend back, and we're going to drop the chest. My arms are staying straight, but I'm going to push and drop. So my spine is changing in relationship to this shoulder bone, yeah? Shoulder blades expand, shoulder blades together. Shoulder blades apart, shoulder blades together. How are your abs? Are you gently holding them in? I hope. Let's take it to the middle of that spot. Middle of that spot's where you want to be. I'm going to bring your knees in even closer just for this next part, which is that I want you to drop your chest forward between those arms. Notice how your elbows, natural inclination is to widen. We do not want to practice that for our chaturanga. We want instead to bring our chest forward and our elbows bend back. All right, let's come back to your knees for a second. Arms up in front of your shoulders. Pointer fingers up. Spread those hands, and I want you to sweep the elbows in alongside your body. Notice how strong the inclination to drift is. You gotta hold those elbows in. In fact, let's make some chicken wings. Rise up. Hold your elbows into your arms. Hold them in. Let's roll our shoulders. shoulders down and back, squeeze in. You're holding a feather in between each elbow and waist. You gotta squeeze tight for me. Squeeze tight. You can do a little walk here for fun. Squeeze tight. Bring your heart up and forward. Yeah? Bring your forearms down so they're parallel with the floor. This already makes my wrists feel like they're working hard to pull my knuckles back. This is the arm position for your chaturanga vinyasa. Let's talk about what chaturanga is. It's a pose. Now we're coming back to our modified plank. Yeah? So I'm trying not to let my booty out because I'm really using my abs to lengthen through this lower back. My hands are only shoulder width apart. My shoulders are down, and I'm going to think of reaching my skull forward and bringing my elbows back to that chaturanga position. There you are. Hang out there and try and press into your knuckles and fingers, not just the heels of your palms. Lower all the way down, elbows in. Good. Take your wrists forward onto your mat. Put your knuckles on your mat, please, and let your wrists pass your knuckles. So you're really tucking over the top of those wrists. So as we're talking about we're going to talk about the arms and that's going to make everybody's wrists tired, yeah? So we just stretch that stretch whenever we want to. Alright, placing your forearm, put your hands underneath your shoulders. Feel where your arms are. Squeeze the and pull your shoulders away from you. So your neck just got longer, aka your shoulder blades. Now I'd like you to lift your head off the floor just 2 inches. Now your neck, and you can feel open, even though you might be, because you're looking at the screen. In this position, ideally, you want to be looking at the floor straight down. Drawing your jaw up and in to get a nice long back of the neck. We're going to draw our shoulders back and pull your hands down so they're on either side of your chest. Like my knuckles are probably at nipple level, yeah? That helps if you're not looking. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and back. Pull your legs all the way together. We're going to press up to modified chaturanga. So we're going to keep our knees on the floor. We're going to keep our shoulders back and our neck long and all of these myriad details, yes? Pull your bellies in first and push the earth away. Come to the place where your upper arms are in line with your torso. That's where chaturanga is. And let it back down. Flip your wrists over. You can flip your wrists over at any time during your practice to give them a little break. Reset. Pull those arms down by the sides of your rib cage. Elbows are back against your rib cage. Belly is gathered in. Chin is drawn up, so you have a straight back of the neck. And we're going to press the floor away and come all the way up to modified plank and come back to your child's pose. Take 2 breaths and rest. All right, that was our breakdown of how to pass through chaturanga. Chaturanga vinyasa is in the middle of our sun salutations, yes? Everybody's like, I guess. It's only week 2. What are you talking about? All right, come back to your modified plank. Let's pretend that we just stepped your left leg back to your plank or modified plank, yeah? We're going to lower it down through chaturanga. That's we're going to inhale up to baby cobra, maybe a little further to cobra if you're feeling ready. Lower back down to exhale. For me, and back to your downward dog. Eventually you can stretch your wrist alternating and do your downward dog at once. Alright. Right leg. Go ahead and open the hips today. Whee! And square the hips. Now with square hips, I would like you to bend both legs. Tuck your right knee under your chest. And then inhale, stretch, radiate from your skull through those toes. Inhale, tuck. Exhale, down. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, knee down. Inhale, tuck. Exhale, knee down. Inhale, stretch. We're gonna step Shift your right leg forward, rising up. This time we're going to take our palms together. If you really want to hold on, use your pinky and ring finger to wrap around and keep your pointer finger and middle finger aiming high and pressing your tailbone and pelvis underneath yourself, so really opening the hip here. It's easy to want to just bend in the middle back, but I want you instead to feel like you're radiating, like you're a big, long crescent moon shape. Open your arms all the way down to the mat and use your back foot, rocking back and forth, to press yourself through as many steps as you need to come back to forward fold. Can you fully release the neck? It's hard to let go. Inhale, coming back to that flat back, feeling your shoulder blades press together and your heart reach forward. Radiating through the fingers, away from the skull. Soften, drop your hips. Swoop through, up to standing. Exhale, let your hands travel down your center line. Closing your eyes. Feeling your breath here in this position in the middle. Feeling your balance. Do you happen to be standing more on one leg than the other? I do today. I notice with my eyes closed that I'm standing heavier on my right leg than my left. What can you learn about your body in this moment of quiet? Reconnecting with your breath. We're going to inhale and open our eyes. Through flat back, exhale, forward fold. And your left leg stepping back. If it helps you like it helps me to sway into your lunge early in your practice each day, feel free. It's fine with me. Also, swaying my hips side to side to find center. Shoulders back. Finding my center line, rising up to high lunge. I'm going to sweep my arms up to parallel. I'm going to reach my arms up to the sky and reach this crown of my head up and back. I'm going to radiate my back heel down, back, and away from myself. I'm going to radiate this same hip in the opposite direction of the heel, so forward. My front knee is reaching forward as well, and that forward and back attenuation is what reaches me long and low. Couple more breaths here. Shoulders are dropping back with gravity. Inhale and exhale, your arms open around behind you, hands to the floor. Take a moment, drop your low knee back to low lunge. Let it really open, find your breath. We're going to pause in the middle of our sun salutation here again. Take both knees back, and we're going to press our balls of the feet into the floor. Press your tailbone up high and send your booty back and press with your hands, really pressing back. And then, dropping our heart towards the earth, we're going to creepy crawl our hands forward on the mat and see if you can lay your heart and your chin open on the mat. Might not be able to go all the way down there, that's okay. The spirit is crawling a little bit forward. Up there today, and that's okay too. Big chest and heart opener. Tailbones. Chin pose position. And now using the weight much as you use your hands. Let's point our feet, come back to child's pose. And we're gonna roll up your chest. Can you really let go and let your head be heavy? Feel your shoulder blades swing around down towards your hips behind you. Hands go behind you. Big breath in. Exhale, tip that pelvis back, strict bacon. Rise up. Slide through, find a flat back and hover there. Just like in the beginning of class, I want you to anchor your shoulders back to your spine, radiate through the crown of your head, squeeze your thighs together for balance. And we're gonna fall forward with our hands, elbows in, press through, up, and chaturanga vinyasa, dropping through chaturanga, inhaling up to your cobra, drop your chin down and pull your shoulders back in your cobra. Lifting up through your abs. Exhale, back down. Inhale, up, downward dog. On your next inhale, your left leg's gonna rise up. And we're gonna open the hips for a moment, just to enjoy that opening. And that means that your lifted leg hip is higher than your other hip. And then we're gonna re-square them. Re-square the hips. And I do that by drawing my legs back to my center line. All right, inhale, lengthen, radiate through that up leg. Exhale, thighs pass. Inhale, tuck it forward. Pendulum that way. One more time. And this time your tuck becomes the step through. All right, settle through those thighs. Dropping your hips. Find square. And press into the earth. Reaching through your back heel will help to straighten your back leg. Reaching through your front knee forward will help to lengthen that front leg. Remember, we don't want it to pass the ankle. Please take a check. If you're out here, you're gonna wear out your knee. Step further back. You're ready for more, but let it go backwards rather than front. Big breath in. And we're gonna drop our shoulders and lift our heart. Finding your breath. We're really still today, and still is challenging. Try not to judge it. Try to breathe instead. Flow through the challenge. Flow with your breath. Be like water. Open those arms back. Good job. You made it. Step together. Inhaling up. Exhaling, soften. Rise up. Good job. All right. Coming to both feet, we're going to take the right leg. We're going to turn it out and turn it in. Please place your hands on your hips. Yeah? Because we're going to talk about Warrior 1 this week. Hooray! And Warrior 2 is coming up next. We've been doing high lunge. Both legs parallel. When we do high lunge, both legs are parallel. Try your other foot. Parallel. Turn it out. This is happening in my hip socket, so I'm trying to point my knee to the side of the room. It's not actually the side of the room. It's only 45. Yeah? But I want you to feel that action and know that that action happens with the muscles that sit underneath your butt, the external rotators. They run through and around and attach to your sits bones, the base of your pelvis, and attach on the outside of your thighs. Go ahead and stand straight forward. Rub along the outside of your thighs. You should feel a bony lump straight on the side. It's called your greater trochanter. It's your femur bone. It has a little side bump out for all these big muscles to attach onto. All right, so when we turn our leg out, as we do in tree, our greater trochanter, instead of pointing straight to the side-ish, is going to point a bit more to the back of the room. The whole thing rotates, yeah? Everybody to tree, bus stop A. And I want you just to radiate up through your skull. Taking your hands above your head now. Lift your shoulders up. Bump into your basement ceiling. Drop those shoulders down. Pulse your knee back. Pulse your knee back. Open those arms to your tailbone. Notice whether your booty might have gone back. And let's take that pelvis vertical as we pulse our knee back. Lovely. All right. Find your tree for today. Here's bus stop B on the calf. Tailbones down. You could move up to bus stop C, right above the knee. Remember, we never push sideways on the knee. That, I'm going to say a billion times, is probably on your final. Bring it up higher. Oh, you don't have a final. It's probably something important because I say it over and over again, right? Vertical pelvis, knee opening. If your knee starts to drift center, can you bring it back out? I just noticed myself chin poking a little bit, so I'm going to drop my chin. I'm going to pull my shoulders back, and I'm going to let my arms come up like two big branches of a tree. And I'm going to radiate through my fingertips. I'm going to grow my head taller away from my foot on the floor. And release. Dance it out. Shake it out. You don't need to hold on to any lingering tension, remember, because we want to radiate with fluidity. All right, let's find center again. Our standing leg is going to be parallel. Our bending leg is going to turn out, so go ahead and take lefty out to the side. Find your pelvis with your hands again. Most of us drop forward because we sassy all the time. We want to really start working on engaging our abdominal wall gently to place our pelvis back up to vertical. Same with our shoulders. We're going to use our shoulder blade muscles, those rhomboids, to hold our shoulder blades back. And you're going to start to work your left leg up your tree. Checking that pelvis. We're going to pulse the left leg open. You can try putting your hand behind your thigh and letting your thigh reach back for that hand. It's a really nice way to find that isolation. The action is happening under your butt cheek. That's where you want to feel that rotation of the thigh. Pulse it back. All right, hold that pulse. Get taller. You can move your foot if you want to. Remember, you want to work where you're working on balance, not somewhere that you just fall out of it. It's okay to fall out of it as an experiment, but when you find your place in the pose, we want to go somewhere we can stay. A little wobbly is okay. Great, guys. How about those shoulders? Can we drop them back? Let your rib cage feel like maybe it's an inch further forward than you're used to.
Never my intention, no. Never my intention, no. Never my intention, no.
All right, release. Soften it out. Okay, we're going to talk about warrior one next. From the front of your mat. A little tall today. From the front of your mat, we're going to turn out our right leg. Left leg is still straight forward. The center of your knee is lined up with your pointer finger toe. Yeah? Other leg out to the 45. We're going to swing it back. And I'm gonna step back with that left knee still straight forward. Stabilizing the left knee uses the same muscles that we used to turn that leg in and out. And the same is true of this back leg. We want the back leg to be turned 45 degrees out, right? If this is front, we're opening to approximately 45 degrees. So it's not 90 degrees, it's not pointing to the side of the room, it's in between. Your back is on the floor, and I'm going to turn to the side in just a hot second. If your heel's not on the floor, or if your hips have rotated open, we're not there yet. Parallel front leg, hips straight to the front, but back leg turned out is your warrior one. And if we're not all those three things at once yet, then we simply step the back leg slightly wider so that you can get all the way square. Yeah, find that place. I like to put my hands right here because it's easier for me to visualize, maybe for you too. It's a little too wide for me. I want to feel both feet all the way on the ground. And then you might, here's me turning sideways for the side view. Squaring those hips. When I square the hips, it's the opposite of turning this knee leg out. Sorry, these are maybe not the best pants for this today. We're going to turn that thigh out with those under butt muscles. Whoop. Whoop. It's two different directions. That's what makes Warrior One complicated. Alright, roll your shoulders. Take your hands to your pelvis. Take it back, take it under. Take it back, take it under. Settle down. Really think about this thigh turning. And then we're going to squeeze your back thigh in, reach up. Okay, now we're going to do something silly, which is we're going to go back and forth from Warrior One to high lunge to help us learn the difference. Warrior One, the thighs turned out. Everything else is square. Now we're going to go back to high lunge. Boop. High lunge. Go with me. Say it even out loud because it'll help you remember anything to say it and think it. Warrior One. Turn out that back leg. I just did it wrong. Warrior One. Turn it in. High lunge. Turn it out. Warrior One. Turn it in. High lunge. I'm going to switch sides so you can see from the front. Turn it out. Warrior One. Turn it in. High lunge. Turn it out. Warrior One. Good. All right. So if I pulled my back leg in from Warrior One, it would be turned out. I'm going to swap those two things and try the other side. Now, we definitely don't want to be crossed because that definitely opens your hips. So hips square, back legs turned out, find your spot. Squaring those hips. Booty wants to go out, don't let it. Point that tailbone at the floor. All right, Warrior One. High lunge. Warrior One. High lunge. Warrior One. High lunge. Can you feel your hip socket rotating as you make that change? High lunge. Warrior One. High lunge. Warrior One. Good. All right, let it go. All right, we're going to do sun salutation, no elaboration, simple flow through. All the places where we usually do high lunge, we're going to switch those out to Warrior One. Here we go. Start friend. Big breath in. Exhale, soften. Inhale up. Exhale, arch back. Inhaling up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling up, arms go back. Radiate front to back. Exhaling down. You're going to step back with your right leg. You're going to turn it out for Warrior One. Good. Find square hips. Open that heart. Tuck your tailbone. Really got to pull back your left hip to get square. Open. Scoop. Good. Take your hands to the mat. You're going to change back to high lunge to do your chaturanga vinyasa. Yeah, so back foot's going to change to high lunge. Now we're going to move on chaturanga vinyasa. Stepping back, modified plank or plank. Down through chaturanga, up through cobra, exhale down. So maybe push back up through chaturanga to plank, back to your downward dog. 3 breaths here. Release. If you want to come down to your child's pose instead of breathing in downward dog, you can make that choice, that's fine. Sorry, right leg's going to come up. Play for a moment. Change it around in a weird direction, maybe to the side. Open those hips. Square your hips again. I always find that squaring my hips is not nearly as close by as I think it is. Alright, so I step through in warrior one. I'm sorry, in high lunge, and then I'm going to turn out to warrior one before I lift my chest. Now, I set myself too far, too close. I was not able to maintain a square hip, so I'm going to make that adjustment now. Yeah, there we go. Square hips. Whew. Turned out back leg. I got to really work for those square hips. Big breath in. I'm going to take my hands behind here. Grab hands behind myself. Pop the chest forward. And drop my chest down onto the front leg. In warrior one, holding on for dear life back here. Drop your head and let your hands pass your head if you can. Now, if this is a total no-go for you and you happen to have a strap or even a t-shirt, any piece of fabric at all, you can do this arm back grab behind you, holding onto a strap. Yeah? T-shirt works too. Towel works. Let your hands come back down to your hips, touch the floor, change your back leg back to high lunge, and step together, inhaling up, exhaling, soften, drop your hips, inhale, back up. Here we go, left side, through your flat back. Down you go, left side, straight back, and turn it out. This is the same lunge you were just in. That's how this works, so don't be surprised. This one's going to take us to the floor. All right, hands down. Change your back foot. I'm going to turn a little sideways. Change your back foot to high lunge. Step back. Shift your shoulders forward. Chest, front of your fingertips for chaturanga vinyasa. Rest in your downward dog or your child's pose. And inhale, left leg rises, just play today, explore. Maybe rotating it in and out. Maybe taking it to the side. Bringing it back. Tuck it through. Find your high lunge first. Yeah, because that helps you to find your square hips and your shoulders back feeling. And then we're going to rotate the back foot out by taking it a little bit wider. Yeah. Re-square that hip so your front hip is pulling back to square. Back hip is reaching forward to square. Good, good. Rise on up. Chest forward, hands up. Can you find your breath here? It is really difficult to breathe with your hands up here. Notice where your shoulder girdle is. It's probably rolled forward, and that's okay in this position. Let your hands come down to your hips, your hands to the floor, looking at your back thigh. Change to high lunge. Step together. Inhale, up. Soften those hips back. Inhaling up. Exhaling back. Let your hands pass through Namaste. Palms open to the front, down by your sides. The mountain pose. Again, bring your chest an inch forward to where you're used to. Let your shoulders roll back. Check that tailbone. Can you drop it back to vertical? Find your breath. All right, go ahead and open your eyes. We're going to step to the side. We're going to move into a few standing poses to really open our hips. And then we're going to go down to the floor and learn our first arm balance. So let's take a pause today because it is a heat wave, and drink some water. Yes? Drink some water. I know. Look at me and my deliciousness here. Okay. So the next section we're going to do is all poses that are hips to the side of the room. So if you have a regular yoga mat and you want to rotate it sideways, that might be a little bit easier to see your screen. If not, you're fine, right? So normally I think your mats are like this. So if you want to turn it horizontal right now, it's a good time to do that. When you're ready, come out to a wide angle. And we'll use this term wide angle for like positions for a lot of different positions. So what you need to know about it is that normally when we stand in yoga, it's either with your feet all the way together if you're being super traditional, or a little bit apart, which can be nice if you have broader pelvises like women who were not in the original yogic pose creation. So sometimes we make modifications, yes. But I do think both are really helpful because this feet all the way together practice really focuses on centering. So we'll talk about that a lot in the next couple weeks. So regular stance is underneath your hip bones, which is where you feel the crests of your hip bones meet your thighs. Those hip sockets are what you're lining up with. If you're doing a little bit wide, it would be just as wide as the outside of your hips, but a wide angle pose is going to be wider than that. So the inside of your hips are outside of the outside of your hips. The inside of your feet are outside of the broad part of your hips. And this could be very wide at a certain point, yeah? But you want to sort of negotiate between a more narrow wide, which is still wider than your hips, to bigger, depending on the pose and how it's going for you. So let's start a little bit challenging wide. A little bit challenging wide. Not like, whoa, we're getting moderately wide. And we're going to move through our pelvis a little bit. Maybe circle it a couple times. So we're going to open up those hip sockets. All right. So again, all the time our bodies tend to default, like 90% of us default to this position of the hips where your tailbone is up. Yeah. Some people, there are, it's very, very much few of us. So if you're one of those people, let me know because I will speak more clearly. But we all we're going to do the same thing we did in the tree, which is we're going to turn out one leg a couple times. trying to maintain that square, so not twisted, but square and vertical pelvis. Yeah, you can bend that leg a little bit if it feels good. Try the other one, just turn it out. Notice I right away want to open both hips, yeah? I just want to go sassy style. That's not what we're shooting for here. We're shooting for just the leg. Yeah? Okay. So we're building up towards our warrior two position, which is also a lunge. Okay. So let's try warrior two on the right side. I'm going to open up the right thigh. And I'm going to have a square pelvis to the side of the room, which is to the front right now. Yes, this is going to be my back leg, which is seeking straight, and this is going to be my bent lunge leg, which is seeking bent. This is really the time and place where you want to be thinking about this knee lining up with the toe, because most of us will droop the knee in and forward and be torquing that knee. I'll show you that. Yeah. Most of us do this at first, so you have to use that external rotator to open the thigh to the front of the room. Yeah? Our tailbones all want to go out. We always want to drop the tailbone vertical. Yeah. And our arms float up, and our torso is vertical. Okay. I'm going to give you all the information. Yes? Too many informations is hard to keep everything in mind. So we're going to go back and just pick 2 or 3. Yeah? This pelvis might have tipped back by now, I think, so bring it back square. Knee over ankle, both vertically and tilty-wise. Arms out. Yeah? Now, when we first learn this, it's more shallow, right? Less wide means a little less challenging. Easier to keep your hips square. So if you're doing this and it takes effort to hold your hips square, then you're in your edge. If you're not feeling any effort, check your alignment before you go wide, please, yes? Because if we go wide without our alignment, say I'm like, oh, this, I don't get it, it's fine. And then I go wide, it's only gonna get more distorted. We want to start with clear alignment, yeah? And then if you notice your knee passing your ball in the front, then it's time to send the back leg further back. In a full expression of the pose, which is not how I do it on the daily, my palms are over my feet. This is the too much information for today part. Your heel is in line with your arch. Your pelvis is all the way flat. This is really the one. Your front thigh is at 90. This is too much for me. I just feel like I'm about to fall over. So I like to come a little bit up, refine. All right, let's turn our head to our drishti, which is our focal point. For warrior two, it's out to the horizon. So I like to imagine the sunset. Find your breath. Now I'm going to distract you. The challenge here is to try and stay committed to the position of this bent leg. Big breath in. Let's bring our arms up. And let's string a bow and arrow of love like Cupid. Pull it. Let it out with your exhale. I like to imagine my arrows have little hearts on the tip of them. And maybe we're going to shoot out a little comet, yeah? Little stardust comet. All right, settle in there. Shoulder girdle. Usually in warrior two, what happens is that it slouches forward or we twist a little bit. So I'd like you to roll both shoulders in a circle for me. Is your thigh screaming yet? Don't judge it. It just is what it is. And you will get stronger. Okay, press. A blissful release. If you're working at your edge and you straighten it, it should feel really good. All right, now we're too wide to do anything, right? Because we challenged ourselves. Heel toe yourself a little bit closer. Back to that moderate position. The top of our body is going to remain the same for the triangle. So let's roll our shoulders back. Feel your chest open. If anything, let your arms, your wrists and elbows drift a couple inches forward rather than back, because back usually means we've arched our back, yeah? So from here, we're gonna leave this vertical, stretch it tall, and we're gonna tilt from your tailbone and your pubis, opening up your hips. All right. Usually when we do a triangle, there can be two focus points. One is the strength one, and that's what I'm doing when I'm not putting my hand down, yeah? So I'm just gonna hold this position for a hot second. Feel how much effort it takes to hold my vertical torso up and out. And I'm over the turned out leg, yeah? This one's still facing 90 degrees from that one, more or less. Hips are still flat, but you'll notice they start to close. So your job in this position is to take the bottom hip and roll it underneath the top hip. And the same with your rib cage. We're trying to roll it flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, square and flat. Come on up. Let it out. It can be fun to try the triangle when you're first learning it against a wall, because you will almost always discover that you're way out here because our booties tend to counterbalance the weight of the torso. So the aim is to get flat. All right, here we go. Left leg, turn out, turn in, turn out, turn in, turn out, turn in. Let's turn it out. Look down over that leg, please, and line up the knee with the second toe. Now come back to your pelvis. The bottom hip comes underneath, right? Those are two opposite directions. Thigh open, but hips flat. I'm going to scooch down to where I can get my pelvis vertical, square, rectangle, hip, hip, shoulder, shoulder. Yeah? No booties out. Now I'm going to recheck my knee. We're not locking the back knee out. It is straight but not hyperextended. So if you feel like the knee is like pressing or stretching the back of the knee, you don't want to feel it there. Soften that knee a little bit. All right, working your way in, reopening the hip, reopening the knee, sinking around. Find your spot. All right, when you're ready, let's open up those shoulders. Notice most of us lift with our trapezius because they're so used to being overworked, so drop that. Drop it down, friends, drop it down, let it go. Drop your arms. Drop them. Yeah, roll your shoulders out first. There we go. Okay, starting with your shoulders anchored down and back, then let your arms drift up. Oh, it's so much better. You should not be feeling tension here, and if you do, drop it. Roll it back. Let your upper back do the work of supporting your arms. We want to work smartly with gravity, with our skeleton. And now we're going to radiate. Can you reach your two fingertips in both directions? Can you reach this knee over the toe? All right, let's rotate our gaze out to our drishti. And we're going to add the breath with the bow and arrow just like we did before. Inhaling up. Exhaling. Shooting out that stardust. Pew, 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 pew. Inhaling. As you draw your arms up, remember we still want our shoulder blades anchored back. We want that diamond to rest on the top of your rib cage. So check your shoulders. Are they getting tension because they're getting fatigued? Without judgment, you can shake them out and let them go. All right, we're going to lift it up. Good job, guys. Ah! You're probably way wider than is functional, so heel toe it back in. Woof, 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 woof. All right. And left leg goes back out. Moderate size hips. We're going to take our hands to our hip bones, to our pelvis this time, and tip them over. And back up. Notice if you stuck your booty back. Probably a little bit. Tip it back over. Drawing in those abdomens. Roll your shoulders back with me. And extend those arms. Strength triangle. We're going to come back into the stretch version as we repeat. Feel your side body working. Feel your hip stretching. One more breath. All right, press your hips back underneath your spine. Shake it out. Okay. Now, I did not lead you into believing you would need any props today, so it's okay if you don't have them. But if you do have, this is a travel foam roller, or if you have a pack of paper towels, preferably still in the plastic because that keeps them together a little bit more, or a pack of toilet paper. Those are good options as alternatives. We're going to go back into those two poses. Yoga brick, paper towel. See, kind of close. Or like a pack of toilet paper, like a 4-pack of toilet paper, you know? Okay, so we're gonna take our brick, we're gonna put it over here. We're gonna come to our moderately sized wide angle pose. We're gonna turn it out. We're gonna bend the knee. We're gonna find warrior two. Warrior two. Yeah, aligning the knee over the toe, vertical pelvis, squared, open arms. We're gonna find our breath. Back foot. We're gonna talk a lot about feet next week. You do want the whole foot to have contact with the floor. If you notice lots of weight in the heel, make sure you're not hyperextending that knee. So heel toe even. It's okay if there's a little bend in that knee and you work towards straight, that's fine. Just do make sure you're not passing the knee over the ankle here. Okay. From warrior two now, we're gonna take our elbow down to what's called side angle. And this definitely twists your hips and sticks your booty out. So we wanna try and move back by pulling that hip underneath ourselves for side angle. We radiate, the top arm reaches away from the outside of the back foot. Most of us stick our booty out here. Can you drop them back down? So there's one long line. Good, good. All right. Find that brick. Bring it right next to you and experiment with putting your hand on the brick instead of your thigh. Good. Nice work, feet. Open your arm, good job, and straighten your front leg. Whoa. Now, if you don't have anything to lean on today, you're going to lean on your thigh first. Never lean on your knee. I'm going to say it 3 times. Never lean on your knee, never lean on your knee. Yeah, above or below at all times. Using that, you can move your back leg in a little bit because I want your hip to open a little bit more. So maybe you're first starting here. For your triangle with support, maybe you're shifting down to your shin. Maybe your hand is going on a vertical brick on the inside of your foot. And basically by taking some of the weight of the chest out of the load of your hips, you're allowing yourself to work more on opening those pelvises and really letting them tip. So the angle should be happening here at the hip joint. Oftentimes when we begin, it's kind of tucked in or to the back of the room. So we're trying to get flat. Yeah, if you're flexible enough, you can grab an ankle, eventually the floor. My neck is not into the floor today, so I'm gonna go with something that works for today. When you're in triangle pose, you can pick one of 3 focal points. Either down at the floor, or straight up, or up in the air. Up in the air can be nice to check your hand, but you want to commit to one of those things for a little while. All right, we're going to soften both knees to swing our hips through to rise up, and we're going to shift to the other side. Warrior 2, left leg bent. Yeah, find your way there. Option to move a support if you want to support. Usually when I suggest that you try alternate props, I like to bring my own toilet paper or paper towel to make you feel at home, but I need to go to the grocery store, so I hope you'll forgive me today. Find your side angle pose. Could be elbow to the thigh, could be hand to the brick. Elbow to the thigh is the traditional one. And remember, we're trying to get those hips back to flat. This is another one that can be fun to experiment with against the wall. All right, fingertips extend away from the back foot, radiating. Can you also radiate from that knee out into space? And that'll help to dip your hips. This one, for me, I really have to think about the idea of creasing into the bent hip. So this crease here is really what unlocks this pose for me. Go ahead and find a place to place your hand. Could be on your thigh, just not right on your knee. Shin, ankle, brick, sideways brick, flat brick, floor. Many, many, many bus stops, yeah? I'm gonna start up high and think about swaying my hips way back. And if you feel too wide to move your hips, then that's a sign to bring your feet a little closer together, because you really wanna get that tip of the pelvis. Go ahead, find a drishti. Notice whether your arm is trying to get ahead of your body. We want it to be shoulders on top of each other. Shoulder girdle, rolled back in line with that spine. Chin lengthens the back of the neck instead of poking. Finding your breath. Stay there for another couple breaths. Just check the message. Big breath. Don't worry if things are going funny. Opening up your heart. And take it down. Go ahead and come on down to the floor. Hooray! A little time check. All right. We're going to do prep, but not your first arm balance today. Let's come to a squat with your heels up, knees apart, and I'd like you to please put your elbows inside of your thighs. If this is a no-go for you, just sit your butt down and press your elbows into your knees. And we're going to shrug and then pull your shoulder blades back, press your heart forward, and feel how your shoulders and arms then open up into your knees. Yeah? So we're creating isometric resistance. Curving the back is stretching between your shoulder blades. You can even press your thighs into your resistant elbows to open the back a little bit more. And then the opposite. Press your heart through. Anchor your shoulders down. So down and back, heart open. Yeah? If you're in the squat, it's like this. Curve. And press. Curve. And press. Good. All right, if you're on the floor, move your hands closer so they're only the width and breadth of your shoulders, and lift your heels back up and just press. Curve. Your inner thighs are getting a little open. If you're sitting on your butt, try lifting your feet up. Curve, press. Feel how your elbows want to slide away from those thighs. Can you keep them connected? That will really help you. All right, come on down. And we're going to save our arm balance for next time. So next time, we're going to lay down for Shavasana right now. So go ahead and start getting yourself comfortable. Next time, if you want to bring a brick, great. If you don't have a brick, a 4 or 6 pack of toilet paper, like a 2-3 pack of paper towels will really help. Anything that is about this size, yeah, so like about the length of your forearm, I guess. even if it's not super strong, you can use it to like test your balance and it can still be helpful. So just bring a couple things to try and we'll figure it out. It's not mandatory, but if you want to explore, you can. All right, that said, let's lay down and let go. Okay, coming down onto your mats. We're gonna roll our shoulders back into the mats a few times. Yeah. Now, if you were a bird, thinking about your shoulder blades as wings, I want you to think about tucking your wings in behind you. And with that feeling, the outside of your shoulders sort of opening up into your mat, let your thumbs open up so your palms face up. And I'm going to take my feet and just ease my way into Shavasana today by windshield wipering my knees in slow motion. And I'm going to let my hips rock with the action of the knees. When you go to one side, then one hip will open a little bit. Inhaling center and exhaling to the other side. Inhaling center and exhaling to the other side. And as I do this, I am slowly sliding my feet a few inches at a time lower. So then maybe 3 or 4 breaths, I'll be all the way into my Shavasana pose. Inhaling center, exhale twist. Inhaling center, exhale twist. Inhaling center, exhale twist. Inhaling center, exhale twist. Let that sway get tiny. So you're almost all the way down in Shavasana, and that sway of your hips and sway of the breath is getting smaller and smaller. And when your legs are down, let that sway inch your skull taller, radiating upward from your feet and melting down. Inhaling, lift your heart. Exhaling, unfurling those wings and then tucking them back underneath you. Now that your body has been settled out, let your breath rise and fall as it will. And allow your body to slowly release. Jaw fall down to the earth. It's okay if your mouth opens. Let that jaw relax. If you're still feeling tension in your neck, you can micro wave your nose side to side. And then big breath in and big release. Coming back to the room and opening your eyes. Allow yourself to walk one leg in and use that bent leg to press yourself onto your side. Thursday, we will get to the rest of our checklist and talk about our first inversion. So I encourage you, turn off my sound so I can hear you guys a little better. So I encourage you to think about this idea this week of whether you can keep that diamond of your shoulder girdle resting on top of your ribs instead of falling forward. Yeah, so opening the chest, gathering your shoulders back. See if you can think about it in different, like regular everyday things that we're doing, like picking up your coffee mug. Can you pick up your coffee mug? See what changes. When we're doing inversions, this action of gathering our wings back really help us. So more on that on Thursday. Any questions? I'm sorry, some of you guys had bad internet today. I know how frustrating that is, so it's okay if you are popping in and out because you really want to be here. I'm certainly not, upset by that, so I understand. Anything else, you guys? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, Anna. Thank you, Clara. I hope you guys are enjoying the beautiful weather. Yeah, it's always good to check out at the end. Happy summer solstice, Nina. Mm-hmm. Yay. I love your braids. Mm-hmm. Yes. That's my favorite.